Ready Check Radio.
Stand by as we get ready to serve up all your news this week in the world of gaming. Welcome to Gaming Gumbo. Oh yeah, hello, and welcome everybody to Gaming Gumbo. It's Saturday at 7 p.m. Eastern. That means here on Ready Check Radio, it is time for Gaming Gumbo, your weekly gaming wrap-up. Gentlemen, this is episode 53. We have officially crossed the 1 year worth of shows. If you watch one per week, yeah, you just make up achievements. You just make them up. It's 53. Yay, 53. We've got a lot to go over today. I'm your host, as always, Mike Byrne. If you like what we do here, head on over to ReadyCheckRadio.com. In the upper right, I've got all the socials for you: Twitch, Twitter, Facebook, all the different audio platforms, YouTube. Take us on the go. Do us a favor. Click like, click subscribe, click follow. It helps. Every little bit helps, and it's free. We're also going to be asking about Games as a Service Day, so I'm sure a lot of you will be chiming in the comments with the games as services that have done it well and maybe not so well. Playing a few of those in his day is Mr. Jason Winter. Good evening, sir.
Hello. Today is also my, I believe, my 10 millionth podcast. So, I'm making up achievements.
It's close.
I'm going to make up mine, too.
Yeah, it's close.
Make up mine, too.
It's close. You have a Coca-Cola in the background.
Yeah,
that one's easy to see.
How is that possibly related to gaming? Well, now I can drink Coke guilt-free, because Bobby Kotick is no longer on their board of directors.
Yeah, so he's going to be stepping down from Coca-Cola's board of directors. I mean, let me ask you right now. Do you think he's just like, okay, it's time for me to leave? Or do you think somebody kind of was like, look, you're kind of toxic right now. You should probably go.
Definitely the second.
Yeah, you think so?
Second.
You think so?
He's more toxic than the Coke itself.
Yeah. Also,
and not nearly as sweet.
No, oh jeez, it's gonna be one of those evenings.
Oh,
also on the line, resident artist of Ready Check Radio, Yod. What's up, sir?
I'm not sure why I'm here anymore.
Yeah. Neither am I.
Entertaining.
Yeah, he's mildly entertaining. Jason's on fire tonight, man. We're like
Damn.
2 minutes into the show, and he's just rip roaring. Last week he was like, man. This week he's on fire.
Yeah, I think it's how that Coke he's drinking.
Yeah, last week we woke him up from a nap and he was not happy.
Did they put Coke back into Coke? Is that what's going on here?
Yeah, they sprinkled a little Coke in there for him, keeping him up.
Oh my god.
Keeping him up. So what are you doing, Yod? Destiny's Raid came out today. Is your crew one of those ones that's like day one, go for it?
My crew no longer has 6 people in it.
Oh. So no.
No, I am a filthy casual at this point. I'm lucky to grab 2 other people for 3-person group things.
Man, if he's a filthy casual, Jason, what the hell are we? I don't even homeless guardians. I don't know.
I go in there, I shoot things, I loot things, and I try to get whatever I can grab, but it's just a fun thing to waste time at this point.
We just sit on the farm all day playing soccer.
Yeah.
Oh God,
I forgot about that.
Awesome back then.
I forgot about the farm.
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah. It
was
used
that
to be.
vaulted?
Yeah, that was vaulted. Yeah.
Was it really?
Yeah, that was totally vaulted.
Really? Wow. How do you even do the initial storyline then?
And we can't even.
That was storyline's different now.
Yeah, that was the story. The farm was with the new light launch, wasn't it?
No,
the free to play
was
before that.
Farm, yeah,
was
the
it before
farm
that?
was the original Red War. When,
yeah.
When
You're
Destiny
right. You're right.
Dropped.
Yeah,
Back
you're
then,
right.
I still did have a crew, and we did go in first day if we could, or at the very least first weekend.
Well, the first Witch Queen raid is live. Hey, gents,
I did step in. I did drop in there to look around, but yeah.
he walked through the door and was like, all right, looks nice. I'm out.
Pretty much.
Hey, I
died
don't want to
3
spend
times.
a lot of time on this. We're going to have an article up on MMO Bomb on Monday, just kind of summarizing a lot of this stuff because we didn't want to write a million pieces on this stuff. Obviously, our hearts and thoughts to our Ukrainian friends still as this insanity wages on. But I did think we should spend a few minutes, gentlemen, talking about the games industry and its reaction to this conflict, this war. We're seeing an awful lot of companies, EA and other big name companies, pulling products, stopping sales in Russia, payment processors like PayPal pulling out and not letting Russian companies or Russian customers spend money. Then we're seeing games like Smite and Hi-Rez who are letting those sales go through where possible because, again, payment processors have stopped and you're kind of restricted if you can't, you don't have a payment processor that's willing to do it. But Smite selling things and donating that money to UNICEF for Ukrainian children. So kind of like we'll take Russia's money and we'll give it to the Ukraine, maybe not really thinking through the process that still gives the Russian government tax money, but the sentiment is there. And we're seeing a lot of that type of stuff, whether, they no longer let you buy things or things like that throughout the industry. Lots of support here. But two of the bigger ones, I found one and Jason found one, and we brought them to the show because this was the first that I had heard of a game actually being impacted by the development. Now, New World, Amazon Games, developed and published Amazon Games, they were working on a Russian version, a Russian language version of New World. That has stopped. They have just stopped. Now, yes, we could all make the low-hanging fruit jokes of, there might be multiple reasons that they would probably not want to spend money on New World anymore. Your player base and Lost Ark basically eating it alive. But speaking to Tech Radar Gaming, Christoph Hartmann, vice president of Amazon Games, said, "We were looking into localizing New World for Russia, and we stopped that." An Amazon spokesperson later confirmed to Tech Radar that the decision was, made due to the ongoing war. So this actually totally killed a potential localization of New World. So the first project that I would say hasn't released yet, but is being killed quietly to grant. Well, I know not the first one. We'll get there in a second.
No, I'm just saying. I think it's been paused more than killed. If things like when fine, like a month.
I
or so,
honestly don't know. I think Jason, I kind of disagree with you on that.
Given how New World is, maybe, but
right.
And they would have stopped it before, so I don't know.
Exactly. I think even if things got better tomorrow, I think Amazon just says, yeah, there's no point in going back to it, right? 30K on a Saturday is bad. It's bad. Warframe, slow and steady, man. Warframe, slow and steady, has now exceeded its usual player base over New World. Anyway, on that same topic, Gran Turismo 7, which just came out yesterday, I have not picked it up yet for the PlayStation, quietly got removed or not launched on the Russian PlayStation Store, too.
Wow.
So, yeah, big title there. And Jason, you saw one that the opposite happened. They were like, let's spin up some content because of the war.
Yeah, the makers of Euro Truck Simulator 2, they posted last week. I saw them on, I don't know if it was on Twitter or somewhere else. They said, we're going to work on a Ukrainian paint job pack for the game and try to get it out as soon as possible. Donate it all to charity. And they've done it. They've released it like yesterday or maybe the day before. It's just like 4 or 5 paint jobs, and they said it's 99 cents on Steam if you want it. They donate it to People in Need charity, currently involved in directly in helping people affected by the war. So
yeah, and can be applied to any truck that has the 8x4 chassis.
Yeah.
So that's quite a few. I mean, that's so cool. They spun that up. And granted, it's a color splash skin, right?
It's not
nothing super fancy, but that's still a pretty damn quick turnaround time to not only get it built, but then to also get it, pushed through on Steam's approval processes and stuff when it comes to DLC. So Pretty quick turnaround. Gents, what do you think? Like, you've seen this now for the last week or so. Has there been a company that responded in a way that really surprised you? I want to say, like, Activision even got in on this stuff, right? Activision Blizzard. And it was hard for me on that one because I wanted to be like, yeah, they're doing the right thing. But I just can't get past this feeling that a lot of these companies are doing the right thing when it's easy to do it.
Mhm.
And
Yeah.
we saw all of these companies continue to turn their eyes when it comes to China, continue to cater to China when it comes to public outcry regarding Taiwan. It's very easy to go, hey, the entire world is mad at Russia right now. So it's totally cool for us to be mad at Russia and be public about it. But there's so much other stuff in the world that, I mean, Blitzchung was banned, Jason, for speaking out against Hong Kong, or speaking out for Hong Kong, sorry. And these companies didn't have the balls to do it then because it might impact their pocketbook. Now, Russian audience substantially smaller, substantially less of a financial hit, and from a PR move, everybody's going to be on your side if you do it. I still find it, I appreciate what they're doing, but I still have that like spot in my heart. Maybe that's dumb of me. I don't know.
There's always just that point that it has to go to once once Russia started actually killing people. That's the point where they said, yeah, now we're going to do
Right.
something.
I was just gonna say it's partially most likely because there is an active war now going on. So it's easy to
there's an active, publicly viewable war. China's human rights violations have been terrible and well documented for decades now.
But that's also internal to that country.
Yeah, the visibility.
Right, the visibility is internal to that country. And all its posturing and stuff towards Taiwan, they haven't actually made a move to encroach upon it. With the Hong Kong situation, yet is the operative word there. With the Hong Kong situation, while personally, my personal views are one way or another, Hong Kong at this point in time does belong to China. So they're doing stuff internally in their country where
I'm not trying to conflate the two situations themselves to be similar. Don't misunderstand that.
It's just it's the fact that Russia has made that public move.
Yeah.
Which turned the entirety of the public outside, the public viewing, should I say, against them, because it's a crazy move to do, actively, openly attacking another country. It's nuts.
Yeah, and I mean, we're talking about this from a gaming perspective. Obviously, there's a far more serious aspect to this, right? Russian soldiers are dying, Ukrainian soldiers are dying, Ukrainian civilians are dying. That is what's important, not this piddly, oh man, the Russian teams are out of FIFA,
right? So
the FIFA video game. But
you
also have to feel for Russian gamers, right? Many of which in that population, Jason, they don't support this, to great degrees. They don't want to be doing this, nobody wins. Nobody wins.
Right, and like you said, it's the easy move to make. Also because, as you said, there's not that big of a, monetary income blowback coming out of Russia if you do this. If you do it to China, especially right now, with how much they're invested in gaming and all that stuff, because they do have a very large population.
And the companies that they own portions of.
Companies that they own portions of that are in China, that own portions of other companies that are not in China, and so on and so forth. The blowback would be a bit more, as you said.
Yeah. Mystics says it best. You end up punishing the innocent to fight the corrupt.
Right.
Okay, that's enough.
Yeah.
Let's move on. I want to talk about games as a service. We started talking about this, Jason and I, on the Always Online podcast on MMO Bomb yesterday. That is up. Go check it out. I mean, that's the site that pays the bills for Jason and I, not this little piddly having fun venture here at Ready Check Radio. So MMOBomb.com.
Mystics kind of pays
always
most of our
online.
bills here.
Gran Turismo 7, I mentioned, is out. I wanted to bring it up to you gentlemen for a couple different reasons. One, it looks beautiful. We've talked about it before. But two, it also carries the $70 price tag, like a few other titles we've seen in the next generation of consoles. And then they also have the ability to top up the credits. Now, don't get me wrong. Credits are something you can farm in-game. It's a lot like playing Grand Theft Auto 6. I wish. Grand Theft Auto 5.
I was going to say, wait, what?
And farming up cash, right? Like it's kind of that equivalency. But we have found out now that we've been able to see pricing because this was not available in demos / review periods for websites. I wonder why. That you also have the ability to top up those credits via a cash purchase in the following denominations: 100,000 for $2.50, $2.50, 250,000 credits for $5, $750,000 credits for $10, and 2 million credits for $20. Now, according to Video Games Chronicle, they've compared this to the former Gran Turismo Sport, okay? And that also let you buy individual cars as microtransactions, not just buying credits and then buying the cars in game. Most cars cost between 99 cents and $5. In Gran Turismo 7, though, something like a Porsche 919 Hybrid 16 can be bought for $299 in Gran Turismo Sport, but it's going to cost you at least 3 million credits in Gran Turismo 7, which if you opted to just simply buy those credits, you'd have to spend at least $40. And there are multiple vehicles that hit that price range, including the Aston Martin Vulcan, the McLaren P1 GTR 16, and the Audi R18 TDI 11. Do you guys have a problem with this type of monetization? Because you can just play the game and get those credits. Like I said, exactly like Grand Theft Auto 5 and farming cash, but you can go buy the shark cards to put cash on your account. And then two, the pricing of the game being $70 and these cars being like that, because we don't know, but we did see in a state of play video some of the legendary cards costing 20 million credits. 20 million credits.
Which translates to how much?
About $200. Now, they're not in the game yet, and we don't know if the pricing is going to end up being the same as those screenshots we saw during a state of play, but that would be a $200 vehicle in Gran Turismo 7. Jason, it's pretty, but what do you think?
I think the Starships and Star Citizen are cheaper. Yeah, it's also tough for me to rationalize something like this when I've been playing a Forza Horizon 5 for so much, and they just fling cars at you every 5 minutes.
And you started playing the game for free because it was on Game Pass.
Well, it was $1. I had to pay my $1 for my 3 months. That's what it cost me. But yeah, I mean, but even that, yeah, that's I think there's a way to buy currency in that. I don't know. But you can also earn the currency. And that's what you say too. Whenever you say, "Oh, but you can earn the credits in game," it always depends on the rate of it.
Yeah, 100%.
How long does it take me to farm up those 2 million credits or 5 million or 10 million or whatever? And unless we know that, it's tough to make that comparison. But even so, even if somebody's like a normal-ish kind of rate, I just wouldn't spend $40 to get a car in this. If I can get it after like a couple hours of grinding in the game or something, then yeah, just ugh.
And that's the part that we need to wait for, Yad, and it's going to take a little bit to figure out how long does this take. Like my nephew, he's used like PlayStation gift cards we've gotten him for Christmas and stuff like that to buy a couple million credits on Grand Theft Auto 5, or a couple $1 million on Grand Theft Auto 5. Like, I don't think he's spending cash, but if he gets a PlayStation gift card, he goes ahead and uses it. I don't know what the hell he uses it for. I don't play the game enough to really care about it.
I don't know either.
But this just, like, the game already has the $70 price tag, which kind of feels bad because we're not all used to that yet. Get used to it, gang. It's going to be the standard. I mean, there's just no ifs, ands, or buts about that for most AAA marquee titles. They're going to bear the $70 price tag.
See that
You can absolutely earn them in game, but we need to see how long would it take to get you 200 million or 20 million credits.
the $70 price tag doesn't really shock me as much. Possibly because whenever I tend to get games that I really want to get that I'm not playing on Game Pass or whatever, I tend for the deluxe edition anyways, which ranges, up to $100.
Right. Well, now that
So
gets $10 more expensive too, though. It's not
right,
like that.
Probably 20. It's probably 120.
yeah,
Probably.
probably, but I mean, so the standard edition going up in price is one thing. The other thing though, it does remind me of is what was it, Star Wars Battlefront?
Yeah, the
Where
Mystics just brought that up in chat
yeah,
too. Yeah.
for sure you can grind away and get Vader
Right, but
after,
that's a feeling of
hundreds of
pride and
hours.
accomplishment.
Yeah, that
is
wasn't
what
even.
that
You
was.
couldn't farm with the credits. You had to get him out of the loot box. I think that was actually the part of it. You could play for 10 years and maybe not get him if he doesn't come out of a box. So.
But
That's
I mean,
that's a feeling of pride and accomplishment.
it's the amount
You
of
could get them. It just
grinding,
took
though.
they mapped the time and it was ridiculous. Yeah.
Yeah, it's the amount of time
And 90% of
invested as
players of
opposed to
Battlefront
just
don't buy a single box. I bet.
right. But that's kind of what it reminds me of, even though it's not a direct analogy to it. Where it's like, sure, you could grind to get enough credits for all this stuff. And granted, in this case, it's not a box that you might get it in. It's more of a direct purchase. But it's the fact that you can either grind hundreds of hours or pay up to $200 for a digital object, where the game is also $70 or more. I don't know if there's a digital deluxe edition.
So Mad Martha brings up a point in chat that you hear often when we talk about games as a service. A company's able to ask any price they like. It's down to the customers to decide if they're prepared to spend that cash, to be honest. As long as the price and product is all open, I'm okay with that. Loot boxes, though, yeah, ... Okay, let's set loot boxes aside. That's an entirely different discussion, and Mad Martha is right to kind of put it in its own little bucket.
Right.
But you do hear that argument a lot. Well, people will just vote with their wallets. The only problem that I have with that argument, though, is that, and the loot boxes fall into this argument too, but we'll set them aside, is that, yeah, fine. Most of us will go, Jason, I'm not spending $200 on a car in Gran Turismo. Screw that. But the flip side, there are people that, will and are of mental positions where that is just they look at their finances. I can afford that. I want to buy that. They go ahead and buy that. Not everybody is fortunate enough to be in that bucket, right? These are predatory practices because they're trying to catch the whales, some of which may not be making sound decisions, and these companies know that. So I think while I totally agree with Mad Martha's point, and it's the way I am too, yeah, it's not worth $70. Sorry, I ain't buying it. That's all well and good for me to say. But I do have to also recognize that there are manipulations and psychological issues that these companies are preying on with this type of ease of access for X dollars, even if they may not apply to me personally.
My general rule of thumb has always been when I buy a game, whether it's a $60 game, $70, $10, whatever, is that I want to get for every 50 cents, I want to get an hour of enjoyment out of it. So for the $60 game, so I have to play for over like 120 hours.
Right.
If a $10 game, I only get 20 hours out of it, that's fine. And I'll apply that same sort of thought process to a microtransaction. I'm not going to get 400 hours of enjoyment, I think, out of that car. I really don't.
Right.
Now, a car that's $5, maybe I'll maybe do that and I'll get 10 hours out of it. So, okay, great. So that's sort of where I go at it. And, I want to make sure I'm getting proper value out of something. That's what it all comes down to. You want to get proper value out of whatever you buy.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
So if you think you can do that, however you judge value, then there you go.
Matt Martha says, is that any different than a real car maker selling a more expensive car than the default model? Yes, it's very different. When shopping for something like a real car, the dealer will say, Jason, you can't afford this. You don't have the money, and so you cannot buy it, and you can't afford the financing on it, so we're not going to finance you for it.
and the insurance is going to go up, and you can't afford that.
You know, there are regulatory bodies and criteria that you have to meet. Now, I don't want to get into financing rules and
Yeah.
credit scores and stuff like that because that's a whole nother can of worms.
So,
but there is nothing stopping you from, if you have a credit card, throwing $200 on it for that car when you don't need to. And we kind of got away from what I want to talk about here, which is just the games as a service model.
real quick.
Oh, sorry. Go ahead. Go ahead.
Do those cars that cost X amount of money give you any edge in playing the game?
Well, they
all
do have
cars
different.
Are different.
Yeah, all cars are different and have different performance. But the counter argument that you're going to get there is, one, Gran Turismo isn't really there are competitive aspects to it, but it's not like a PvP game where you are vying for power to that degree. And two, hey, you can obtain them in game. There's no way around that. Hey, if you want to just farm the credits, you too can have that 20 million credit car. It's no big deal.
Yeah, that was my question to know, help anybody that doesn't know the game, myself included.
So we're seeing obviously more and more games as service, games as a live service. Jason brought up a good point yesterday. Like, that term is so dumb because these games have been around for a while. World of Warcraft is technically a game as a service, right? Final Fantasy 14 is the MMOs you've been paying subs for over the last 20 years have been games as a service. But I think when we talk about that term, games as a service, now we kind of get away from the MMO look and we start looking at things like Gran Turismo, not technically being a game as a service, but offering, the microtransactions, but more like your Destiny 2, Yad, is absolutely what we would put in today's bucket as a games as a service.
Right. So
Warframe, yes, Warframe. Well, yes, but Warframe is a little more game than the service.
So as we jump into this, let's make sure
they don't do like season passes and stuff like that.
Okay, let's make sure to define. Okay, MMOs tend to have a subscription of some kind.
Correct, and that's technically a game as a service too, even if that's the only fee they have.
We're just differentiating terms at this point. Okay.
Yeah.
So MMOs are. You pay a certain monthly fee like Final Fantasy, or you have the option to pay a certain fee per month like ESO, things like that. Live service or games as a service tend to be you purchase the game and then you play it on whatever platform you choose, and then you purchase the expansion. So technically Guild Wars would fall under this as opposed to an MMO.
Well, no, I see that I think is different. Jason, you'll have to let me know if you agree.
I don't agree with you guys at all.
Yeah, okay.
If it has regular updates, it's a game as a service, period.
Oh, so okay. How about this games as a paid service then? Let's put that in there.
Well, so we count Final Fantasy 14, but not Guild Wars 2?
I count them all. Yeah.
That's what I'm saying.
Jason, I don't disagree with you. I count them all. But in the context of the discussion here, where you always hear the term game as a service currently, they're usually referring to games that either have a box fee or don't. That's sometimes up for debate what the game is. But we're talking like season passes, microtransactions, cosmetic cash shops, the Destinies, the Warframes, the Babylon's Fall. Exactly. Exactly these days. It is everything. Call of Duty even falls into that bucket now, over the last X years with the season passes and with the free-to-play Warzone and the BR and all that stuff. Anthems of the world, yeah. Those types of games.
Oh, God, Anthem.
Is there a company or a game that does these services in a way that you look at and you go, you know what? That's the way to do it. That's the way to do it. Because years ago, I would have said, Destiny. But so much has changed that it doesn't.
With that because even though the original game was fun, the problem and I kind of look at when Destiny dropped as the point in time when games as a service kind of became their own thing away from MMOs, because it started to be the point where they're dropping games that are unfinished and calling them games as a service and telling people, oh, we'll finish the game, a little ways down the line because you guys won't get there anyways.
We're going to talk about Battlefield 2042 later.
Yeah, we'll get there later. but that's it, and that's why I think that even Destiny 1, while it was very addictive and playing with friends was very fun, and it was a fun experience for myself and a lot of people, created a lot of friend groups and stuff like that that I still hang out with today, it was still a terrible release.
Oh, no doubt. And I was referring to Destiny 2. I don't view Destiny 1 necessarily as that much of a games as a service.
But
definitely Destiny 2.
But therein starts the ball rolling, is that every single game as a service that has been released has felt like an extended beta. Like they had their beta test, but they didn't fix anything.
I wouldn't say every game.
These days, yes. But it's even more than bugs. It's like there's no end game yet. There's no end to the game when they release it. It's just like somebody might rush through it in a day and finish it, but there's nothing at the end because we'll finish that in a week or two. Don't worry about it.
We're seeing some titles, Warframe, Path of Exile, Sea of Thieves, pop up in chat, Jason. Is there one for you? Path of Exile taking a little bit of flack lately for the way they did their most recent Battle Pass, but generally speaking, they seem to be on the better end of reception. Is there one for you that you're just like, you know what, that is tolerable? There's times I don't mind giving you a couple of bucks just to support things, and you know what, I don't feel bad about it. Is there a game out there for you that does that?
I'm starting to really grow tired of season passes or subscriptions or anything that puts you on a time limit.
I agree with Jason.
Because I just feel like I gotta play it in that time frame, whether it's the month subscription or 2.5 months with the pass or whatever.
Yeah, you gotta go.
Yeah, I know, and that sort of thing is what's really starting to annoy me lately. So I'm in favor of any game that doesn't feel like it needs to do that, which Guild Wars 2 still is in that boat. But as I try to think of anything else, I'm like,
all of a sudden you start drawing
as
a
Martha
blank.
says, Path of Exile until recently, didn't have all the other leagues were kind of like that, I guess, but
Has Halo done it right then? With the
Halo's
battle
got
passes.
a battle pass.
Yeah, but they get away from that fear of missing out that Destiny 2 got hammered for when it
because the
first
problem
became.
is, the problem with
you
those
can only make progress on one pass at a time, but you can flip between passes.
Yeah, you only make progress on one, and so if you're like you come in season 5, you're like, or if you come in season 5, you're like, oh well, now season 1, 2, 3, and 4. Which one do I work on? It's like, yeah, you still feel like you're missing out. You can't make up that time. You can't get back.
Right, but you can look at the individual battle passes and make a decision.
I can look at anything I want to feel like.
That's what I want. That's what I want to farm for right now. So whenever I play this, that's what I'm going to be working towards. And when I get that, I'll look through the passes and find a different prize I want to work towards.
But you're still going to look at that and go, I'm never going to catch up with all that stuff. So why bother? Not going to play.
So who does it right for you, Jason? Besides Guild Wars 2, are you literally just blanking out?
I am blanking out. I'm trying to think of anybody who doesn't force you into time-related pressures.
Yod, you can't. You would have thought Destiny, but they've totally just shot themselves in the foot on this one over the last 2 years.
Yeah, they really have. But and if we're talking initial release or where they evolved to are two different things. Because at this point in time, at the pre-Witch Queen and post-Witch Queen type deal, I'm not talking buying things
right.
being tied behind price or whatever, like dungeons. That's for a different day. But the season passes themselves, before Witch Queen, you could actually purchase the previous expansion and play through all 3 battle passes at the same time and get all the story. So those things were still open to you until the next expansion. So I think that is a good idea for them to have implemented. I still don't like battle passes, but it's a good idea for those people who don't want to feel as rushed. You can literally
Warframe is coming up in chat a lot, and they're asking, is there any real time pressure stuff? They technically do, but do they still do Nightwave? It's been a while since.
I don't know. It's been a while.
I don't mind like occasional seasonal things that run for 2 or 3 weeks. That's fine.
And if you miss that, you miss that. Like okay, you couldn't play that week
or whatever.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Warframe, I think, does do a damn good job as a game as a life. It's one that I constantly look at, and I'm like, I mean, they have their primes. That's kind of what they put on a timer, right? When you could buy the primes or farm the primes up. Those are set blocks of time. But even those recycle. It's not like a prime goes away and you never see it again. It might be a year before you see it again, but you will see it again. And you know, the only time you really want to buy platinum, if you do want to buy platinum, is because you're too impatient to wait. Like, you know, okay. It's not an issue of can you afford it or not, or I'm farming credits and I want to buy more credits. It's do you want to wait 24 hours before that weapon or frame is finished, or do you just want it right now? That instant gratification. They're capitalizing on the instant gratification more than anything.
I mean,
suck it up and farm cabbages like the rest of us.
and that is the one thing that I do enjoy about Destiny is that everything that you buy with real money is cosmetic.
Well, that should always be the case.
Yeah,
I mean,
yeah. Well, it's not like you purchase this weapon or whatever. It's maybe a skin for the weapon, but you still have to earn the weapon in the game or use in-game stuff to get that weapon. You can't pull out real money for your Telesto fusion rifle or whatever in-game to make you play better. Whatever the meta in the game is at this point in time, you have to actually go and get those weapons.
let us know in the comments down below here on ReadyCheckRadio.com or on YouTube what games as a service do it really well and why you think they do it really well. I'd love to bring this back the next week's show and share some of your thoughts out there. So let us know if there's one we're not talking about or we're not thinking about or maybe has changed the way they do things, because that's something that happens too. But let's take a look, gentlemen. We'll move on and take a look at March's release schedule. Obviously, we've kind of already started March. We've had the big releases in Gran Turismo 7. Triangle Strategy came out yesterday. I haven't gotten a chance to play it yet from Square Enix. There's some other Conan Chop Chop. That's available. When April Fool's jokes turn into games. LX2, so quite a few there. Babylon's Fall. Go watch the first look on MMOBomb.com.
I did. I watched it.
And you'll know that I could have been much harsher, but it was a first look, not a review. So, looking forward to a couple here that still have yet to happen. Next week, Jason, is the magic day. Chocobo GP on March 10th, which unfrickin' believable, by the way, is also a game as a live service. So
what is it? 90% of the stuff on this list that you have
Yeah.
here is probably a game as a
right, but Square Enix is batting over 2 on those ones right now.
They are.
With Marvel's Avengers and Babylon's Fall. So we'll see.
Oh my god.
I can't wait though. I can't
I know you
wait.
can't.
There's
like 7 games on here you want to play right now.
No, well, I want to play, yeah, but this is probably the one for March that hasn't come out yet that I'm like, yeah, I definitely want to. That's a day one for me. It's no doubt. I'll be playing
We don't
it
talk
on
about
March 10th.
Balance Wonderworld. That's what we're talking Square Enix.
That's the game. Yeah, that's the one we don't talk about. That's the one we don't talk about. And then Strangers of Paradise, Final Fantasy Origin on March 18th.
Chaos.
Yeah, Chaos. Chaos.
Yes.
Definitely one I'm looking forward to. I enjoyed the demos quite a bit, and the second demo got better than the first, so I like the direction there. We'll see if it holds up, although Elden Ring is kind of holding my Dark Souls, Demon Souls vibe right now, so I don't know. Kirby and the Forgotten Land, cute. Definitely cute. I don't know if it's a day one for me, but it's definitely cute. And then I think this is one that you were interested in too, Yod, in Ghostwire Tokyo.
Yes, and you were you wanted us to talk about a few that we were interested in.
Yeah.
And I am going to go full Asian on you and say 2 that I'm very interested in is Ghostwire Tokyo and Shadow Warrior 3.
Oh, yeah.
Yes, even though it did release on March 1st, I haven't had the time to get into it to check it out yet, but the previews on that was really cool. But yeah, Ghostwire looks amazing.
I hope it holds up. I
know. I do hope it holds up. But I mean, the creepy factor, the fact that it's not traditional Western horror, because Asian horror has a completely different flavor and can get so much creepier.
Oh, it looks creepy from the trailers.
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah, it definitely does. It definitely does. That's one I'd like to play too.
Oh yeah.
And then Death Stranding gets its director's cut on
It does.
PC at the end of the month. For those of you that maybe were not being able to play that due to consoles, you can get that on PC. Tiny Tina's Wonderlands is later this month. Honestly, like the most I heard about that game, Jason, was when it was announced. And then it's just been like less and less information as we go.
Yeah, I guess they're too busy owning Perfect World now or something. I don't know.
All right. When's
they're
the
busy
Borderlands
with that
movie come
movie.
out? Did they finish
Yeah.
it?
I
yet?
don't know.
They finished that yet? What do you got on this list, Jason, that's kind of piquing your interest? Is there anything here?
As I looked it over, I tried to find something that first of all, I still have other games I want to play. I've still got too much stuff from February and before that I've got, so there's nothing I'm like looking to pick up right away. But the one name that did stick out here as I was going through this was Ghostwire Tokyo. So I remember seeing the previews for that, and I was like, that's
Yeah.
kind of neat. So I actually looked at that. I thought it might be up my alley, King Arthur Knight's Tale. I like.
Yeah, I was looking at
But-
that one too.
I'm not that into like the board game tactical kind of XCOM style of games. They got to be
That's-
really good, and I've already got one already in my queue. So
That's the
Keep in
problem I
mind,
ran
for those
into.
of you looking at Ghostwire Tokyo, that is a PlayStation 5 and PC title.
Yeah.
So play
It's so
PS5
pretty.
or PC.
I
That's
need a
it.
new computer to play this thing.
Published by Bethesda. So get it in week 2. Not
Interesting
developed
it's not
by
on
them, so
Xbox.
maybe
It's
it'll be
published by
fine.
Bethesda,
Maybe
not
it'll
on
be
Xbox.
fine. Maybe it'll be fine. Yeah, Persona 4 Arena Ultimax coming out on Steam. I felt old when I saw that.
Right.
Q sent me a message when she wanted to do it up on MMO Bomb, and I was, we have this like ongoing debate on whether fighting games are actually multiplayer enough to be covering on a multiplayer gaming website. But it was slow that day, so I was like, yeah, go ahead and do it. She was like, God, I feel old. And I was like, yeah, I do too.
I mean, two people are multiple people.
Yeah, I know. Whatever. There's another big one on this list, though. And it's the day after Chocobo GP comes out.
basically
And
the
that
same
is
kind of game.
Yeah, same kind of game. Exact same thing. March 11th, WWE 2K22. Now, I'm pulling this one specifically because there's another question I want to ask you when we get to the end of it. This is a game that has taken a year off, right? WWE 2K20 not received all that well. And if you don't remember, or you're just not a wrestling fan, so you didn't follow, and why is that up there? Why did I do that? There we go.
That could have popped out.
Yeah, I accidentally dragged it. So Yuke was developing that game, and then it ended up having to change hands very, very late in its development, over as in months before it released, to Visual Concepts, because the WWE canceled the contract with Yuke, because Yuke went ahead and was like, we're kind of bored making this, so we're going to make our own wrestling game so that we can iterate on this a little bit. And WWE was like, no, you're not. What are you thinking? And so Visual Concepts ended up, and it was just an absolute disaster.
Don't you have the trailer for it that you're pulling up the?
I'm going to in a minute. But so they take 2021 or 2K21, I guess, off, and then come back a year later with 2022, 2K22. And just to give you an idea, here's the difference in just The Rock between 2K20 and 2K2022.
I gotta wait till my iPad app catches up.
And
it's
then,
still showing me Ghostwire.
if that one wasn't striking enough,
Oh my!
here's the difference in John Cena.
Yeah.
I'm not going to lie. I honestly thought Jason had photoshopped this Cena image when he sent it to me, because I would have sworn that the image on the right was a picture of John Cena.
I am totally not a wrestling fan, but this looks really cool.
Yeah.
I mean, I was like, Jason's fucking with me before the show. He knew I was doing the notes and stuff, and he said, oh, maybe we should talk about this. I said, oh, actually, I already have it in here because, and I got B-roll for it. And so he sends these images, and I throw them in the show, and I'm like, he's screwing with me. That's not in-engine, is it?
Yeah, that looks crazy.
And then just while we're talking about this, I figured I'd put up a lovely montage of the WWE 2K20 glitches. that are all over all over the
They use the
map.
same engine for like 20 years since they've been doing the game on PlayStation 2. And
Right,
that's one of the big deals they have now is they've got
Yeah.
a brand new engine.
So, Yod, you're not a wrestling guy. Were you
I am
ever a
not.
wrestling guy?
I mean, when I was a kid, and to this day, my brother still is. So he has all the games.
Sorry, the freaking video, man.
I know that's bad. That is really bad. But yeah, to this day he is, and he's got all the games. It's oh my freaking god, these bloopers.
Oh, you should have seen. Like, I didn't even grab any of the character creation or entrance ones, which were with their hair just going
Oh,
crazy.
I've seen this one before, yeah.
But yeah,
What is going on?
it's just crazy.
And this doesn't even mention like the roster size in the new game, the GM modes, and some other
Yeah,
stuff
GM
coming
mode.
back that have been removed from the games over the years. Jason, are you a wrestling dude?
I used to be a long time ago. Got out of it maybe about 10 years or so, but I still keep a finger in the whatever. The finger's a bat. I don't know what I was saying.
Yeah, let's kind of stop that analogy right now.
Oh, that's a bad
I
thing
don't know
to be
what I
saying
was
at
trying to
this
say
point.
there. You know, I still somewhat pay attention to it.
I still keep
haven't
my
watched
finger
for a
in the
long time.
business. So yeah, I'm like when I was a teenager, I was huge into wrestling.
Pulse. That's finger on the pulse. That's what I was wanting
Yeah,
to say.
that's where
Yeah,
you were
yeah.
going.
Right,
That's where
right,
you were
right.
going. Like Macho Man Randy Savage, Sid
Right.
Vicious, Sid Justice later, but like all of that stuff in like the 90s stuff. And then my boys, when I was like in my 30s, early 30s, my boys started getting into it. So we went to like a couple Raw events and things like that. I don't follow it, but it is like yeah, let's order WrestleMania this year. You know, fine, why not? Yeah, I've actually been watching a little more AEW than WWE when I
bloopers, man.
Right. The very few times I actually do watch wrestling. But let me ask you, look at these shoes. They did not the model's feet break out of the shoes.
Oh my god.
We have a rumor that Call of Duty is going to do the same thing.
Yeah.
That they're going to take a year off.
I
The
mean,
initial
good?
impressions on WWE 2K22 are positive. Obviously, we don't have full reviews or anything. It's still 6 days away from release, but they are positive. Could Call of Duty do the same thing, Jason, where they take a year off and realize, you know what? This forcing things. Now, this was forced. This wasn't them saying, hey, let's take it back and see if we can come back better. They had to. They had to change the engine, overhaul it. It was going to a new company. They had to. Just look at this damn video. Call of Duty more sounds like they're opting to. Maybe there's a little bit of they have to because of the pressures on Activision Blizzard right now.
Vanguard is not what we're seeing either.
Exactly. Could Call of Duty have a resurgence like what we think 2K22 might enjoy here?
Yeah, absolutely. I think that's the right thing to do because you look at what they had going and just the every year aspect of it, having to do this over and over and having that same deadline every year, you just get worn out. And especially if you have old ideas or an old engine or whatever, you take that year off to get some fresh ideas. Like I said, rework the engine, do what else you need to do, and hopefully come up with better something in the end. Yeah, you don't have that yearly profit that they're going to want every Christmas, but eventually that stops being as much of a thing if you keep putting out stuff like this. No one would have bought WWE 2K21 based on this stuff. I'm not saying nobody. It still would have sold 5
Somebody
million
would have still
copies or
bought
whatever, but it would not have met whatever expectations they wanted.
Now, do you think they look at it and go, maybe it shouldn't be an annual thing? Or do WWE here and COD on the Activision side, do they just like, hey, this is kind of a forced 1 year hiatus. We still want this to be an annual title?
I think it goes back to being annual once you've cleared out some of the debris of the previous, like the new engine or whatever other new ideas you're gonna have. I think you can go back to being annual, just like it used to be. Back when the engine was new.
Yod, we're echoing in your headset there, sir.
My bad.
Yeah. So yeah, just like when it was new, you could still do it every year, but eventually it just gets old, and you gotta start over basically.
I'm definitely gonna watch reviews for this. You know who has a great video on this is Matt McMuscles, by the way. Matt McMuscles does a YouTube series called What Happened, if you don't know. And it just takes like the worst things in gaming history, the worst games, sometimes movies and stuff like that. And he like really does a deep dive into how did things go terribly wrong on X project. And he does an episode on this one, and it is hysterical. He's a very funny content creator. His editor is fantastic. Go check it out, Matt McMuscles, if you haven't already. Speaking of funny, I've got a few things just to finish up the show here that I thought were funny gaming news. So we're gonna talk about Elden Ring because there's a little bit of confusion that is going on when the game is translating things and people thinking there's hints and maybe they're just memes. So if you don't know, you can use a finger in the Souls series, and it's in Elden Ring, to write little messages on the ground, on the terrain, or wherever you are, and then
That's
other
where
players...
I keep my finger. Okay.
Yes. And then other players can read those. And sometimes it'll be people helping you out, saying, beware on the left coming up, and, something might jump out. And, of course, some of them can be trolls saying at the edge of a cliff, treasure straight down below, and you jump to your death. So, pick what happens. But apparently, Japanese Elden Ring players are hilariously confusing English players' in-game memes for actually being hints and secrets in the game. So we've got a player, Japanese Elden Ring player, ETC, who tweeted that they came across a message called Fort, that said Fort, Night, Night, in Japanese. Now, if you read that in English, you know it's a joke about Fortnite. And these do have filters on some of these messages, so that doesn't help too. They don't want you swearing and stuff like that, so you're limited on, but people get creative. B-U-T, that works. It's but. Anyway, in Japanese, those words don't sound like Fortnite when you read those characters out loud. So ETC only saw the messages like a regular Japanese player would, as a hint, and has been searching the entire map for a fort, exploring them at night. These messages are everywhere, so there's got to be a good reward or a story element. And, of course, it didn't pan out that way.
That poor guy.
Eventually, ETC did get clued into what the messages meant, and according to Game Rant, said after being told what it meant, they said they were crying, laughing over the confusion. Even with such a silly, embarrassing situation, Elden Ring players are united in the absolute ridiculousness of all of it. So, yeah, I found that charming.
I find it sad.
Charming. Oh, why?
This poor guy just spending all day or whatever looking for stuff. Just 'cause
There's another fort. All right, I got to wait till the sun sets.
Yeah, maybe I lack the troll gene. I will admit. I can't do. I'm just too nice in games.
I like that they found it funny. Like, I probably would have felt a little more in line with you if they were like, what the hell, man? But they found it funny, too. Hey, Jason, you love Steam charts, right?
Oh, yeah.
You love Steam charts. So there's something a little fun going on Steam charts when you compare a few titles, huh?
Yeah, so Battlefield 2042, which we talked about, we said was another thing should probably take a year off.
Yeah.
It's not doing well. We kind of knew this. It's not doing well.
We knew that, but it's got a ton of players. It'll be fine.
It's a new game, so I mean, at least it's doing, it's the new hotness. So it's probably at least doing the new hotness, like any new thing in a game series does. It's the biggest thing around for a while, and then, oh wait, it's not. It's actually the fourth best Battlefield game on Steam right now.
But shouldn't all the old players be playing the new game?
Why, yes, they should, Yod, but somehow they are not.
We are professionals here at Ready Check Radio
We ask
in
the
tossing it
important
all
questions.
around. We ask the important questions. Currently, according to Steam player counts, Battlefield 4, Battlefield 1, and Battlefield 5 all have higher active player counts than Battlefield 2042, and some of those gaps aren't small.
What about, and we just talked about it too, what about Star Wars
small.
Battlefront 2?
Oh my.
Okay, that's only around 1,500. Okay, so that's actually below.
Just
2042.
slightly.
Yeah, not
Just
by much.
slightly,
That's
not
only
by
around.
much.
At this exact moment, it is at 1944. 2042 is. It has fewer than 2042 players.
1940.
Hey, so what I'm showing you now is silenthill.com.
That's great. When I read the article, I had to go and look at the site.
I'm not shitting you. If you go to silenthill.com, this is all you get. Masashiro Ito tweet, artist from Silent Hill, that says, "I wish I hadn't designed effing Pyramid Head." A tweet sent in February of 2022. That's all that's on the site. Why? Well, it appears Konami forgot to renew the domain. Now, this gets a little weird because I looked it up today just to make sure that I was still, at the most recent point in this story. Back in like 2016, 2017, Konami did this at one point. They forgot to renew silenthill.com, and people had found it was on sale for like $9,000 some, but nobody scooped it up before Konami was able to grab it back. Now, as the story goes right now, that happened again just recently, and somebody scooped it up and put this tweet up. But some other people now have done some investigation with the Wayback Machine and some other sites, and have found that Konami might have lost this actually last year. Early last year, not recently. Because people kind of feel like, based on what they've found, remember, the site only at one point just had the tweet calling, or the image of Pyramid Head and his height, making fun of Lady D when Resident Evil was announced. Remember that, saying something like, "I was the original, we covered it on this show."
Yeah, I remember that.
And so they kind of think, maybe the same person has had this for almost a year at this point, and just Konami has no desire to try and get this site back. So, yeah, silenthill.com, not in Konami's hands right now.
I don't get how people can forget to renew their site domains. I mean, you get an email when it's like a month out, and all you gotta do is click and say pay.
I don't even have to do that for mine. It just does it automatically.
Yeah, or you can set it to do automatically. I mean, how do you forget to do this stuff?
Yep.
I think Konami cares the same amount about silenthill.com as I care about Silent Hill.
Aww.
Wah.
Liminality Carb was doing some streaming this morning here on Ready Check Radio. Make sure you check him out, 10:30 a.m. Eastern, right here.
I mentioned this story to him.
Ready Check Radio. I sent it to him last night when he told me what he was playing. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
He was streaming Celeste, and he was checking out if his flight stick, allowed him to play the game any better. I have to catch up with him and see if it did or not. You might remember that back in 2018, Celeste won a trophy at the Game Awards for Best Independent Game. The problem was they never got the trophy. And that kind of sucks.
Yeah.
That kind of sucks. But, YouTuber and streamer Prestige is Key was shopping on eBay, Yod. Trying to actually score a replica of the Game Award trophy. And probably put it in the backdrop for the streams and the videos type things.
Nice little.
And he found one for $500. But it was an actual one. And the seller said it came from one of their liquidation sources, but other than that, they didn't know where it came from. So they bought it. It was what they were looking for. When they got it and they opened it, it had the plaque right on it that showed it was clearly Celeste's trophy, the Game Awards 2018 Best Independent Game, Celeste. So Prestige's Key got in contact with Extremely OK Games, makers of Celeste, and said, I got your trophy. They said,
Give me $10 million or I throw it in the river.
we never got that trophy. Prestige is Key sending it to them. They are reimbursing them for the cost that they spent to buy the trophy and then sending them a bunch of signed copies of Celeste and things like that as a way of saying thank you.
That is pretty
4
cool.
years go by.
You think that, they would have contacted the Game Awards and went, hey, I didn't get the trophy, and they would, recommission them a new one.
Yeah, there are I need to know more about this. I need to know that. I need to know exactly what the process is. Because, you look at them on stage, they get the trophy, it's handed to their developer. What happens to it at that
Right,
point?
but some of them are presented remotely, though.
Okay, well, this was 2018. People were still doing things in person back then.
Well, right, but even then, some of the people would be like on the screen accepting the award from a remote location.
They're working on their next game.
Let me see here.
Jeff Keighley's too busy drooling over Hideo
Yeah, there were
Kojima.
actual people there to take it. He actually takes the trophy. Now, maybe they're shipped later because we don't want to take it on our plane. Jeff Keighley ship it to us later. Okay,
Havoc
who's
is
the person
saying that
in charge of that?
Havoc is saying that they hand them blank trophies, and that makes sense.
Yeah,
otherwise,
that's true.
somebody has access to the entire table before the show, and they're like, "Well, I know who won."
That's
right.
true. That's true. Well, whose job is it to do that then? Jeff Keighley needs to find that guy and fire him.
Yeah. Yep.
Yep.
On that note, gentlemen, let's go do our games of the week. Just so you know, chat, I cut one more topic because I wanted to end on a good note. And I think Celeste getting their trophy is good.
Yeah.
Quantic Dreams can't find employees to work on Star Wars. Probably, if you're getting accused of harassment, it might be hard to hire people. Activision Blizzard knows a little something about that. They can't hire a female director, even though it's a California law. But, of course, they're blaming Microsoft and the acquisition for that. Nobody wants to come and work for you when that board of directors won't be here. But, yeah, Celeste, congrats on getting your trophy.
Yeah.
Congrats on getting your trophy. This is the way we end every episode of Gaming Gumbo. The three of us are going to give you a game that we think you should check out, whether it's something we're playing now, something we played in the past, something we've never played but we think is really, really cool and worth checking out. And you let us know in the comments when you're telling us about your favorite game as a service and why, which one of us gave the best recommendation. Jason, we're going to go with you first.
So this is going to be a new record for me probably. So I'm going to put my game of the week, a game that I played for the first time 7 hours ago. It's Teardown, which is a voxel destruction game where you go out and commit crimes and blow stuff up. And I've been having a blast. I streamed it today for a few hours. I'm going to play it again tomorrow probably. So tune in to twitch.tv/Jason Winter.
There you go. I'm going to go with Guild Wars 2 End of Dragons.
Okay. That hasn't earned it for me yet. That's not my game of the week yet.
It's my game of the week, and I've only gotten to play it for a day and a half, 2 days so far. But I've just found out there's now minions. Minions. I got 400 minions in Final Fantasy at the moment. Time to start farming in Guild Wars 2.
He didn't just find out, chat. I told him like a year ago and he forgot.
Yeah, I don't remember that. I think you're full of it. Go ahead, Yod.
I've got Tetris Effect connected.
I knew you were going with that. It is so fun.
And it's addictive. So
let us know which one wins your vote. We, of course, will be back next Saturday, 7 p.m. Eastern, with another episode of Gaming Gumbo. This Thursday at 7 p.m. Eastern, we'll be doing the Relic Grind, our Final Fantasy XIV Square Enix show, where we will be reviewing the live letter that aired yesterday, rolling into patch 6.1 in mid-April. Check them both out, and Monday's stream at 7 p.m. Eastern will be Final Fantasy TCG as usual. Square Enix has supplied us, by the way, with a spoiler for the upcoming Opus 16 set, and we will reveal that on Monday, so don't miss it. There is no Torchwick stream tonight. He's got the sniffles. He's got a little bit of a cold, not the Rona, but just a little bit of a cold, so he didn't want to be doing that on stream all night. Until next week, Yod, where can everybody find you?
Yad Artworks on Twitter, Yad Artworks on Facebook, and right here on Gaming Gumbo.
Jason.
On Twitter, Winter and Formal, as previously mentioned, streaming at twitch.tv/Jason Winter.
I'm Mike Byrne. You can follow me right there at MagicMan1, but more importantly, follow at RC Radio so we can tweet at you every time we go live with a podcast, streamer, or we're just hanging out. Until next week, gang, stay safe. We'll see you on the servers.